I spent a weekend in San Francisco, California, one of America's best cities. That's right, even still. In my last video, I set out to explore what SF is really like nowadays after a ton of media backlash over the past few years and was pleasantly surprised at how much it's bouncing back. So here's how to make the most out of a trip to San Francisco. Alright guys, so I am staying in the neighborhood of Nob Hill, and lucky me to realize that it's literally on a hill, meaning it's going to be quite difficult to get up and down here. I'm going to be getting quite the workout. That's right, San Francisco is a city known for its winding, steep hills, so definitely be prepared to bring a good pair of shoes, because after walking 70,000 steps in 2 days, my feet were hurting. But luckily in SF, public transit is available, and it's pretty great. So to kick this off, let's break transit down with Muni and BART. While San Francisco is generally very walkable, the transit system can save a ton of time. Muni operates as the inner city subway and bus system, whereas BART operates more as a broader regional train system that connects the city to the rest of the Bay Area. You'll want to use a Clipper card for both, either digitally or physically. I used BART to get to the city from SFO Airport, and it was a pretty pleasant experience. It only cost me $10 compared to what was about $60 by Uber, and it's about 30 minutes to downtown. At the airport, you can get on an air train from any terminal where it operates at San Francisco International Terminal, and pro tip, if you plug in your destination and maps, you'll know exactly how much to fund your Clipper card. Muni train and bus systems are $250 a trip, and the system also includes the traditional cable cars or trolley cars, but these are more expensive at $8 a ride, and the lines to get on one are long. The most touristy destination is without a doubt Fisherman's Wharf and Pier 39. It's kind of like the Santa Monica Pier in Los Angeles. Definitely make a priority to come here, but no reason to spend all day here. And then in the distance, you have great viewing points of Alcatraz Island and the Golden Gate Bridge, who is currently covered by the fog. No, but literally the fog has a name and they call it Carl. I can't explain why though. Anyway, Fisherman's Wharf is where you're going to find the highest concentration of souvenir shops, clam chowder, and sourdough bowls, and sea lions on the pier. And when they're hungry, the docks could definitely be a lot fuller than this, like when I was back here in 2009. But no matter what, you're sure to hear their very loud barks. After seeing the sea lions, it's just a quick walk west over to San Francisco Maritime National Historic Park and Aquatic Park for some closer views of the Golden Gate Bridge and the Maritime Museum, and some sightseeing with swimmers doing laps and races in very cold water. We're talking temps in like the 50s. Which brings up another point, because the weather in SF, it is also pretty chilly for a summer morning here. It's about 55 degrees. Meanwhile, the rest of the country is experiencing record-breaking heat waves, so maybe I did something right by coming this weekend. That's right, even in the summer months, you can expect temps in the 60s midday, and in the morning could be even high 40s, 50s. I brought 3 pairs of shorts and didn't wear them once. And right behind Maritime Park is Ghirrardeli Square, home of the original chocolate shop from 1852. But it was time for lunch instead of dessert, so I started making my way over to Chinatown with some detours on the way. And passing through Francisco Park, which is one of the city's newest park, I believe built about 2 years ago. And since I'm here, I have to check it out. Francisco Park opened in 2022, made possible through a close partnership between SF Recreation and Parks and the Francisco Park Conservancy, a volunteer-led nonprofit that raised community funds to build and maintain this park. Okay, the main lawn here is actually closed due to some restoration from some pretty wet winter weather. So it's pretty empty right now, but on a nice day, this is a perfect place to sit out. I mean, look at these views you have. Lots of walkways, dog park, grass, and some swing sets. And you know what? Since it's here... Okay, now this is amazing. I could just stay here all day. Look at that, I can see Alcatraz Island. And it leads you right up to the corner of Lombard Street. These hills are trying to kill me. Oh, but look at that view behind me. Lombard Street is famous for its 8 hairpin turns and is said to be the most crooked street in the world. Probably the only place where people actually want to watch cars drive down. It also has its own pedestrian staircase, so if you're not driving, you can walk it. Don't be fooled though, just like any other tourist landmark, it's very touristy here. And I think you're in the wrong city for this shot, but we'll take it. And tourism is in the beginning stages of getting back to healthy levels after years of media scrutiny that the city is unsafe and falling apart. But in 2023, overall crime was at its lowest point in the last 10 years. San Francisco currently has lower than average rates of violent crime when compared to other US cities, while property crime is still higher. And with the Bay Area also being the key driver in the rise of internet and consequently identity theft, there is really nothing you can't find online nowadays, and you need to make sure you're protecting yourself with Aura, the sponsor for today's video. So I googled my name recently and was really uncomfortable to learn that a lot of our personal information is exposed and for sale by data brokers. Data brokers sell your information to spammers, scammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, it's all out there. Aura shows you which data brokers are selling your information and automatically submits opt-out requests. I don't know if you saw this, but AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. They recommend those affected to use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. Well, Aura does all this, and best of all, you don't have to download several different apps just because a company couldn't keep your data secure. You can go to aura.com/Martello to start your 2-week free trial, also linked below in the description. On the way to grab lunch in Chinatown, I was tempted by North Beach instead, which is the Little Italy of San Francisco and the spot where you'll find the highest concentration of Italian food. And welcome to Chinatown. It is bustling here. Everyone is out and about as it starts to warm up for the day. So even though I've been very hungry all morning, I really wanted to avoid eating at Fisherman's Wharf just because it's so touristy and I wanted something a little more authentic, and that's why I had to come to Chinatown. Home to the famous original fortune cookie, this is the largest Chinatown outside of Asia and the oldest in North America. The best part, the meals can be pretty inexpensive, and I love that I felt like I was just eating in someone's kitchen versus a very pretentious American restaurant. Home cooked meal for the win. Full service for less than $20, count me in. Another big tourist destination is Union Square, which has historically been the main commercial hub full of shoppers, tourists, dining. But lately, however, this area is really going through it. A lot of businesses and retailers are fleeing the area as homelessness and drug use increases, and office workers still aren't back to pre-pandemic levels. But even being here at the plaza in Union Square, everything feels pretty safe and there's a ton of people out and there's cops at every corner. So I still think it's worth a stop. Quick stop into Macy's before they inevitably close, just to say that I've done it. While it may be true a lot of stores are closing, there's still a lot of life here and even more life waiting for the iconic cable cars that cost $8 to ride with a Clipper card. The Powell and Hyde and Powell and Mason lines bring you back to where we started in Fisherman's Wharf, but be prepared for a long wait to get on a cable car as this is basically a tourist activity versus a cheap method of transportation. I instead took a light rail at Union Square over to DeBals and No to Alamo Square to see the Painted Ladies. For whatever reason, this was my favorite stop of the day. Maybe it's just because I was a big Full House fan, but also because at this point I was really craving a coffee, and Lady Falcon Coffee Club cart in the park did not disappoint. Another can't miss park here in SF is Mission Dolores Park, which is walkable from Alamo Square, and as a bonus, you'll get to pass by some really nice Victorian style homes on the way. Even just walking around this neighborhood, the Victorian houses are so cool and quintessential San Francisco. I mean, to live in one of these, you gotta be pretty lucky. Dolores Park typically gets crowded on the weekends, but makes for a great stop, especially to pick up some mission-style burritos and Mexican food. And as I wrapped up day one of my trip, I prepared for the next morning to get to the iconic Golden Gate Bridge. So this is the Golden Gate Bridge, or what's supposed to be the Golden Gate Bridge. I am going to have to come back later because there is literally no view. Be careful on the summer mornings when visiting the bridge. Use this as a warning that you may not get any view, so maybe save it for the afternoon. What a bummer, all this fog. Carl is really acting up today. And a little morning stroll through the Presidio against the Christie beaches. Christie Field and its beaches are a great place to relax on a nice day with some great views, or what I did, take a beach stroll east to the Palace of Fine Arts. This is an architectural landmark that was built in 1915 as a celebration of the completion of the Panama Canal and announced San Francisco's recovery after the devastating 1906 earthquake and fire. Now that is some fine art, if I do say so myself. This place is beautiful. And after taking in this beautiful place, I headed over to Golden Gate Park. Alright, Golden Gate Park here in San Francisco, the third most visited park in the United States, and even bigger than Central Park, as a fun fact. So let's see what we can explore. Golden Gate Park is full of hotspots such as the Conservatory of Flowers, the De Young Museum, the Japanese Tea Garden, the Botanical Garden, and even some smaller gems such as Shakespeare Garden. And here we have Rose Garden. Make sure to stop and smell the roses. Okay, what do we got here? Live music? There really is just so much life in this park that really just makes you want to stay all day. Do I hear Britney? That I still believe in me, baby, one more time. Okay, what I do want to mention about Golden Gate Park as I walk through the park is that it's so clean here and very well maintained. And when I'm traveling, I'm also someone who loves to enjoy the more local areas rather than just the tourist hotspots, because yes, while Golden Gate Park has its fair share of tourists here, it is a lot of locals here just enjoying the day. And I feel like I'm more part of the culture here in San Francisco rather than just visiting the commercialized hotspots. That is some green water. It's like Stuart Little vibes. Okay, got the bike going, rented from Lyft, and I just passed bison? That's so cool. It's true, bison have lived in the bison paddock at Golden Gate Park since the late 19th century. Let's go for a ride. Right, made it to Ocean Beach, and am I getting lucky on this trip or what? Look at this fog that rolled in. Where's the sun? I have not seen the Golden Gate Bridge at its full capacity yet. People are still here though. A little fog won't stop San Franciscans. And rain or shine, beginning at Ocean Beach is the hike up to Land's End with some pretty nice views. Even in the fog, it's beautiful here. Good place. Sadly, I definitely got unlucky with all this fog because typically Land's End has some of the best views of the ocean and the Golden Gate Bridge. Maybe I'll get lucky and the sun will come out. Land's End is a 3.5-mile loop that usually offers some incredible views, but maybe it's a good thing as a viewer watching this to avoid some spoiler alerts and you can just see it for yourself. So take this as just an instruction to definitely visit Land's End, get pictures at the historic Sutro Baths at the rockiest corner of the city. It does give it a good misty rainforest mystique though. It's a miracle. Is that the sun? I gotta get to it. Okay, false alarm. For the 2 nights I was in San Francisco, I tried really hard to catch a good sunset with some good views, one of my favorite West Coast activities, but it was more challenging than I thought. The first night, I went up to Twin Peaks to get some cityscape views, but a microstorm appeared only at this high elevation, of course. So I tried Buena Vista Park in the Castro district and got a nice mystical gloom, but no sunset. And the next day, while planning to wait it out at Land's End for a few hours, I said, and no luck because Carl is relentless. So I went back to my hotel to take a nap. Okay. I struggled to make it over to the Golden Gate Bridge for sunset in time. The buses are running on delays and dropped me off around Fisherman's Wharf, so I've just been walking the way and I can at least now see the Golden Gate Bridge clearly without any fog, and that I think is a win. And that is how you close out a beautiful vacation here in San Francisco, California. And thank you, Carl, for finally letting me see the bridge. If you're free to run away with